Okay, welcome to this week's webinar. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to start from scratch and we're going to demonstrate the design process or the 3D modeling process. And then we're going to be showing you how you can easily turn it into professional 2D drawings. Now, obviously, to create your 2D drawings, you do need SketchUp Pro. And obviously, SketchUp Pro 2018 has just been released. And it has made some really substantial changes, especially in layout. And it's made it a far more professional, great drafting tool. So we've actually also just recently become an official reseller of SketchUp. So for those of you who don't have SketchUp Pro, just go to our website. We believe that we do have the best price around. So I'm going to try and stay on point. And this is going to be more design oriented in the sense that we're not having an idea of any kind of plan that we're going to draw. We're not dropping in PDFs. We're not tracing anything. We're simply just going to draw. Now, I haven't actually prepared for this, and I probably should have, but I'm just going to jump straight in and just really do it from the seat of my pants. And therefore, it's not going to be anything overly sexy. Ignore the design aspect. It's simply going to be talking about and displaying some of the modeling techniques, and then obviously, more importantly, turning it into 2D drawings and the process of doing that. As always, if you do have any questions, make sure that you ask them as we go along. I'm going to try not to be distracted because we've got a very short time to do this, but we will try to hold a 15 to 20 minute Q&A at the end, and we'll see how we go. Okay, I actually have opened PlusSpec and I've saved the template, so all of my scenes have already automatically been generated. But obviously, most of you should know that you can generate all of your 2D scenes using the PlusSpec scene tool. We do have a mix of people here today. We do have a lot of seasoned users, but we also have, and beginners, but we also have a lot of non-PlusSpec users yet. So we're going to try and just avoid trying to talk about the tools and just do them. Now, again, I haven't prepared adequately for this, so I am just going to do really anything. So just bear with me. First and foremost, I don't even have a site. So I'm actually just going to quickly type in a couple of measurements and draw my boundary, my made up boundary. And I'm just using the SketchUp tools to do that. I actually don't want that piece. Once I've done it, I'm going to turn it into a group. And then it is important that you add a layer for these kinds of things. So I'm just going to go boundary. And then I'm going to assign it to boundary. Whenever you draw anything custom, make sure you layer it properly. Try not to have too many custom layers, though. Try to look through the PlusSpec layers and assign them to what what it could be sitting on, because it will work better with the scenes. However, sometimes like this, it's best just to create a new one from scratch. All right, I am now good to go. Look, I'm going to show you the tape measure tool because I think it's pretty good. What I'm actually going to do is come off, say, 2 meters, and I'm using metric, but if you are using imperial, then obviously ignore my units of measurement. You're just going to be using feet and inches too. I'm using metric because that's what I know best. Okay, I'm just going to come off a little bit, maybe say 5 meters. Okay, cool. So the tape measure tools are really useful for setting your boundaries and setting where you want to even start drawing in the first place. I might actually draw another one, say, what does that give me now? Okay, 14 meters. So I probably want that to be a meter wider. Cool. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the PlusSpec wall tools. Again, I'm not going to get too caught up in here. I'm not going to try and actually design. I'm just going to mock out a quick shape and show you a few different things that you wouldn't have typically seen in the tutorials. I will try and show you like a pitched roof, and I'll show you a flat roof just to give you an example. So I'm going to say that that's fine. Materials, I'm going to be fine with those. Yeah, whatever, press submit. And I'm going to draw this like so. I am going to change my alignment, and I'm going to make this one say whatever, 7 meters. And I'm just going to complete the box for now. Okay, cool. Now, if I drag from left and then to right and upward, I can just select those aspects. I can deselect that, and I'm actually going to copy it. So I'll place it about here. And now I'm going to push and pull. And this is part of the flexibility of the PlusSpec tool. This is why I believe that it is the only design tool. I mean, SketchUp is a design tool and PlusSpec is a design tool. None of the other CAD software really, in my opinion, are design tools. They're more of a drafting tool. But you can really start to play around with this shape. You'll understand everything that you're doing with PlusSpec. Now, let's have a look here. Maybe save that and say 2 meters. I use the grids when I'm modeling because all these guides, because they do really help you. Even if you are actually just doing an estimate and you're tracing from plans, it can be very beneficial to set out your tape and your guides. All right, so now I'm going to, let's split that. I'm going to split it from there to there. And I'm going to do the same on this side, walls, split wall, here to here. Cool, I'm going to delete those. All right, so what I'm trying to do is just have 2 different kind of split courtyards. I think that would look quite nice. In actual fact, what I do want to do though is I'll probably turn this one into 2-story. Cool, but this one here, and delete that. Select those, project and join them. Cool. All right, it's starting to form a little bit. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to get too caught up. All right. I think it would be really nice to have some kind of solid wall through here, some kind of walkway. So that's what I had in mind. So I'm going to quickly go back into the wall tool. And I'm going to choose solid wall and change it to 500. I'm going to go into my materials. I don't actually have the one that I want. All right, this is a good one. I'm thinking about using gabion here rather than just using a solid wall. I could just do that if I wanted to, but I am going to very quickly show you the create manage. So I'm going to jump into this. And I'm going to choose my file. And I do have it loaded because this is the one thing that I prepared for. I did want to have a gabion wall to show you. So I'm going to press open. Now that I've done that, I'm probably just going to adjust that. I might say gabion wall, yep, generic, cool, agree, create. So now I've created this new custom texture from the texture that I specified. Now, it's probably not going to be the best one, but it's good enough for now. What I do actually need to do is go back into my PlusSpec for SketchUp model, and I do need to click on the sync. Now, this is going to give me a little bit of time to talk whilst it does this sync. Whenever you create a material, it's really good practice to click on the sync tool. In fact, you have to do it if you're using a Mac. If you are using a PC, you actually can drag and drop, so it can be just a little bit faster. But so far what I've done is I've just started to mass out a design. I haven't really given it a hell of a lot of thought, to be honest. I'm using the same wall types, but I can go in at any time and adjust them. So I might end up adjusting this back wall type too, just to show you and play around with some of the tools. Now, the create material tool is super powerful and it is so underutilized. So we do a lot of, and we get a lot of feedback from customers, and it's surprising how little many of you are using them. And obviously we are all about using real products, but it can be very difficult, or it's going to take us a while before we get every single manufacturer having every single one of their products available inside of PlusSpec. And that's what this material creator does for you. It gives you the flexibility to create your custom materials. Now, once you create them, they are forever in your library. So you only have to create them once. So now I'm going to go back down into the solid wall. I'm going to go into my materials. I'm going to choose my new gabion wall, which will be now available forever after. And I'm going to say that I want it from there. I've done it as 300, so I shouldn't have shut down my wall, but that's fine. And I'll just come across over to here, double click to place it. And I don't actually have to draw it again. I can actually just copy it like so. And then I'm going to select them both and I'm going to edit them. And I am going to say that I want them to be 500. Okay. And they moved inward. So again, I can just use the move tool in this case to move that one out. Cool. All right. That's kind of working how I want. What I might do though is quickly select these ones and I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to go to just a double masonry rather than having timber there. Materials, we're going to go on the inside, we're going to choose the same. We're going to do a block. So often people are like, where's the block? Look down the bottom and you can see the different blocks. And I'm going to do it with cement render or stucco on it too. Press submit. Okay, cool. That's now changed. And I could paint these if I wanted to too. All right, now what I'm going to really quickly do is I am going to generate face at base of walls. I'm going to now go and put some joists in. Now I'm actually going to choose floor trusses here, 450, yeah. I'll actually do that. Yeah, whatever, I'm not going to get caught up in detail. Materials, I'm going to align it with the flooring. I'm going to go like that, there we go, we have it in place. Now, I need to look at it and see where I've placed it. So in actual fact, with the way that I had set it out, I can see via my structure that I've got to actually raise it up so it's sitting on the top plate and working how I want. Great. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick measurement from there to there, so 320, and I'm going to select my walls and I'm going to edit them. All right, and I'm going to do a manual override. I'm going to step down. So it would be nice if this was like just timber, whatever. I'm not going to get caught up in that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly generate a roof. Walls, generate roof from walls. I'm probably going to do just a pitched roof, maybe a gable. So yeah, press submit. I'm not going to get too caught up here. All right, now what I want to do is roof, add gable, and I've got to decide now, do I want to actually have my wall step up as the gable or do I want my roof to control it? I might actually have my roof control it and just do, no I won't. I'm just going to go submit, like so, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, roof, add gable, and I'm going to turn this one into a gable as well, press submit. Okay, now these two walls, I'm going to grab them, I'm going to edit them, and I'm just going to quickly turn them into gable now. Hopefully I remember the pitch or the degrees that I chose. I think I did that. Cool. Good enough for now. I can go into way more detail than this. I can see that it is offset a little bit, so I'd probably want to adjust that. I could do that, however, if I wanted to, just by adjusting the eave, etc. Now this one, what I'm going to do quickly though, is I am going to walls, generate face at top of walls, and it's not in a loop, so that's fine. Often if you've got shapes like this and if they're not in a loop, you can still use the SketchUp tools to create the shape that you want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these ones, like so, and I'm going to edit them, and I'm just going to step them up for my parapet. And yeah, this is working. All right, so manual overrides. I'm going to do negative, let's say 900, whatever, submit. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that into a slab. You can do flat roofs using any kind of build-ups or whatever, but I'm going to do a slab. I'm going to choose other. I'm going to do thickness only, and I'm going to make it a bit thicker. I'm going to say 200, press submit. Okay, now that we've done that, I've got my slab. Now, if you choose other, often it means that you're going to have, it raises above, so you're going to actually have to lower it down. And also, you need to be careful where your face has been generated. So if I go back a couple of steps, the face has been generated, well, where I drew it was around this edge, right? So if I want it to be flush, I'm going to actually have to move the shape out. So I'm going to grab each line, move it out to align with the different walls so it's flush with the external wall. But again, there's so many different kinds of details and things that you can do. I'm going to go, yep, that's good. And I'm just going to quickly repeat the process now. So submit. Okay. Now I might have kind of not done that properly, but that's good enough. Let's have a look what's going on there. You can even move your different slabs, etc. if you need to, edit, unhide all. That was just a little bit messy from me. So I'm just going to go back a couple steps. But that's all right. We're going to bypass that. What I am going to do now very quickly though is I'm going to go into my floor surface tools, and this is where I've already created another material for my flat roofs, and I've got a flat roof here. So I'm going to choose this one. Yep. And I don't need glue, but I do want underlay, press submit. Now this material, or the thing that I'm drawing here, which is the flat roof build up itself. I've simplified it by not putting the entire build up in there. I've just got the overall thickness, and that includes all of the materials that are required to build up that flat roof. What I'm going to do is, okay, that's working quite well. Obviously, I'll need a roof over here too. So this is where I can add a section. So I can come into here and draw a rectangle. But I'm going to start kind of bypassing this, knowing that with the 2D drawings, once you update something, you can update everything. So the question is, what kind of roof would I want there? Would I want it to be another flat roof? Not too sure yet. So we're just going to leave it. I'm going to bypass that. We'll come back to it. I could start putting doors and windows and stuff like that in there too. So I am going to put a couple in there just to see. And at any time you can hide your grids, you can go or guides into your view and you can unhide them, or you can put them back on, and then you can just delete them if they become unnecessary after a while. All right, let's just put a couple of stuff in here without going too overboard. Put a window in. Yeah, let's just do, we could offset that by an exact amount if we knew it. We'll put a small one in there. Again, not trying to get too caught up, so I'm going to be bypassing this very, very shortly. So we'll do a custom window here. We'll make it, who cares about height? We can adjust it. This one, we're going to have it from there to there. So, like so. And then we're going to go into the redefine tool, and we're just going to quickly modify it. Okay. Something like that. We want a door, maybe put in a quick door here. You'll get the drift. After this, we're going to be done, and I'm going to show you now how you set up your template scenes to work how you want them to work, so that when you go into when you go into layout, it's going to be perfect. We'll just do that. I can adjust that later if I wanted to too. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get out of there. All right. So that's good enough for now. What we need to do is we need to start analyzing what the PlusSpec templates are actually doing. So I'm going to click on my floor plan 1, and I can see that it's kind of off in the distance. I don't want that dimension there at the moment. So it's important in your floor plans that you don't rotate off, because you want it to be in traditional 2D orthogonal, straight up and down. So it's just about zooming in and out for these ones. You can also pan, which means you won't accidentally orbit. Now, what you want to do with the PlusSpec scenes, though, is you want to teach it or to tell PlusSpec how you want to position your scenes, because we don't know, which is why they're off in the distance. So the first thing you need to do is kind of zoom in to a point that you're happy with and try and stay out a little bit. Once you've done that, now there's a really important step, because obviously we want all of our plans to overlay really nicely. So I do it typically in floor plan 1. But what you want to do is now left click on the site plan in your scene tool. And if you don't have those visible, there you find them in your window section, just tick them. Now I'm then going to go down the list to my roof plan. I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to select everything in between. So my roof plan, my floor plans, my slab plan, my site plan. Now this is the important step. You want to make sure that you can see the rest of information by toggling that little show or hide details or show details. And then you want to untick camera location and then you want to retick it. And then what that does is it updates every single scene at once. Because you have told it or taught it to remember the camera location for all of those scenes, if I now click through in my different scenes, they're all set up in the exact same distance. And that's really important for layout and when you go into layout. Now, there's also other things that are going on here. We are teaching PlusSpec what we want to be visible. So if I was to drop in, different kind of furniture and all those kinds of things, it might not show up in my floor plan. And that's because in the floor plan, in the templates, they've been set up by default to turn off furniture. So they're more of a dimensioning plan. But if you want to turn it into a furniture plan, simply turn on your furniture and then right click and update your scene. It's very important that before you update, you don't zoom in and out. Once you progress your drawings into 2D, you do not want to zoom in and out because it will update that scene and it will change the reference in layout. So once you've chosen it, stick with it and just make sure that when you do update your scenes, that you click back in, make the change and don't move before you right click update. And that's really important. It's probably the most important process from going from your PlusSpec for SketchUp model into layout itself. Now, there's other things that are going on. Like PlusSpec is choosing different things that we're thinking you want to see and other things that you don't want to see. But so you have to override it and tell it. What I'm first going to do is I'm just going to get off into orbit mode and I'm going to actually activate my section. And I'm now going to click on the PlusSpec section hatching, and I'm just going to quickly do a hatching. So again, I'm not going to get caught up in details because we are running out of time. I'm going to press submit. I'm going to go back into floor plan and I'm going to see how it looks now. Okay. Now, if there's things I need to change or adjust, that's fine because I can always go back in and I can manipulate it if required. So I could do the same to floor plan 2. So in floor plan 2, I can come off, I can activate it, I can go into the section hatching. I can move the section to suit where I wanted it to be, for example, press submit, go back into floor plan 2, and then now you can see that the section hatchings come through too. Now, if you don't want the miters shown on your floor plans, and you won't, because the miters are only there for PlusSpec to show you that your walls are connected. And that means you can see which walls you can push and pull and that they will, knowing that they will retain their connections. But when you go into your floor plan, when you're ready and you've done your hatching, you just want to go in and you want to hide hidden on plan. And then right click and update the scene. Now, when I zoom in, you can see that we've cleaned it up. You no longer have the miter. Okay. Now, also in your roof plan, the roof plan is really at this stage only seeing the roof. So as you can see here, if I just delete that, the roof or the flat roof isn't coming through. And that's because if we click on it, 17, that's on 17 flooring, and this one is located on slab group. So what we actually do need to do is in our roof plan, we need to make sure that we go down and we activate slab group, and that we activate 17 flooring. And there's obviously a few more in there. Let's have a look here. 29 floor finish. That's why it can be, and 16 slab. So I'm going to go back into roof plan. I'm going to this time untick or retick, I should say, 29 floor finish. And I'm going to tick 17 flooring, and you can see now that you've got both of those layers, they've become active. Now I'm just going to quickly update that scene. that's probably all I actually need to show, because it's the green roof itself, or the flat roof. And now I've got my two roofs and my build-ups. But obviously I don't have the roof over the rest of my structure yet, because I haven't drawn it. It's something that I'm going to have to look at. All right, so now we're going to talk about how we can quickly turn this into 2D drawings and start to really tidy it up. I mean, I could start to fix all of the little errors that I've got in there, keep on putting in your windows and doors, putting in your rooms, doing all of those kinds of things. And often when I'm designing anyway, I actually design via rooms. And just to let you know, you can actually use the space tool to generate your rooms, and then you can place them around and configure them, for example. You can rename them. So I'm just going to show you a quick example over here, and it's going to tell you the square feet or the square meterage, and you can just create them all out, mass them, move them around, place them, and then trace them. It's a great way to start. Alternatively, you can actually use, in our component tool, there is a room layout tool there where you can mass out your plans as well before starting to generate shape. Now, what I've done is I've already opened layout, and the way that I did that is I just clicked on the icon, the layout icon, and I opened it. Now, I also said select template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go new, just to show you what I did, the process. You've got your default templates, but you have my templates. And we offer, for $50 Australian, we offer our templates, and they've got a metric and imperial paper sizes, both side and bottom templates, and they come with our suggested layering system. They're really good. And if you're not really, or if you are yet to start with layout, I definitely suggest that this is the best place to start. And then I just selected it to open it. So I'm just going to quickly close that one. And this is our standard set. Now it comes with a lot of notes and how you're going to set it up and what you can do with it. And it will also be coming with our suggested scrapbooks. For those of you who have already purchased our layout packs, you'll be getting the scrapbooks sent out to you also. So really powerful, it's super affordable, and it's going to get you off to a good start. And you can just manipulate and change everything to suit your drawing style. But what it does do is it comes with all of the suggested pages, for example. So, you know, your site plan, your first plan, your second floor plans, roof plans, everything. So it's all of the plans, or the majority of them, have been set out for you, and then you can just add them or delete them as required. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my first floor plan. I'm actually going to delete the guide because I don't need it anymore. And now I'm actually going to go File, and I'm going to Insert. But before I do that, I'm just going to quickly I just had a quick message come up. So if someone could just quickly type in the questions box that you can see me and you can still hear me okay, that would be great. Okay, I had a bit of a network error there. So can people just let me know? Yeah, okay, perfect. Apologies for that. Okay, so I'm back in SketchUp, but what I want to do is I want to save it. So File, Save. You need to save your PlusSpec for SketchUp model before you put it into layout. So basically you're saying to layout that that you're happy with the changes that you've made. Now that I've done that, I've gone back into layout. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to now say Insert, and I'm going to find that model and press Open. And I'm just going to quickly update model reference. Cool. It's now essentially inserted our live PlusSpec for SketchUp model inside of layout. Now, what I actually do want to do, and the most important thing that you're aware of inside of layout is layers, and that's where people really get unstuck. So I'm going to quickly go into our layers. I'm just going to quickly hide those, bring up my layers. Okay. As you can see, we've got a very simplified layering structure there. You can add your own to ours if you like to, but it's really important that you do assign all of your different elements to the right layer, because that's what's going to make you be able to draft in a very smart and fast way. So this is the 3D model reference. So I actually want to change it to 3D master. And now it's been assigned to that layer. I can see the little blue dot next to it. But what I want to do is I also want to give it a scale. So at the moment, it doesn't have a scale. Again, I'm using metric. If you are using imperial, then you'd be using imperial paper sizes and obviously feet, inches, etc. I'm just going to say 1 is to 100 here, and I'm going to now manipulate the site a little bit just so it's working. How does it work on the page? We'll soon find out. Yeah, that fits there. I might need to go, instead of going horizontally, I might need to go vertically just to fit it on the page better. But I'm actually somewhat happy with that. So that is good. Again, we're not going to get too caught up here, but I'm going to kind of place it in the page where I want it to be positioned. It does help to kind of just get the first one set up how you want it to read, just so once you set it up once on one page, the rest of them are going to really just follow that. And so now I'm going to say, you know what, pretty happy with that at this stage. And it's on the correct layer. I'm going to quickly just change layers here, and I'm going to go back into my pages. Now, the first thing that I need to do is just make sure that underneath my SketchUp model that my scenes have been set up correctly. And as you can see, it's already referenced the correct scene. And that's one of the really big advantages with layout. SketchUp 2018 layout is it actually recognizes your scenes far easier and better. So it's already picked up that that's floor plan 1. So I don't even need to do anything there. But what I do want to do is I want to tell it how I want it to read. There are a few different ways that you can control your model inside of layout. First, raster is for color and texture. That's what it's really good for. But it's not great for lines. So if you want to have a combination of color and texture with line work, make sure that you change it, for example, to hybrid. And you're going to get the best of a really nice line work and the hybrid nature, or the texture nature. You can then also go into your styles and you can start manipulating your actual line weight. So this is your global line weight. So I'm going to say, for example, 0.3, a little bit lighter. See how that's reading. Yeah, not too bad. I can continue to play with this as required. Now, when you print those textures directly from layout, PlusSpec, by the way, they actually print really well. I've just changed that to 0.1, so I'm going to change it back to 0.3. Now that I've done that, I can simply copy it, Command C, and I can dump it. So again, I can delete those guides, Control V, paste it directly or overlays it directly. It's remembered all of my previous choices, but now I can go through and say, okay, I want it to be floor plan 2, like so. Again, I can go into my roof plan, delete the guides, Control V, and I can go down and I can select roof plan. Okay, I can go into my site plan and I could do the exact same thing, or my slab plan. Now I don't even have my slab plan there, so I can easily create that though by getting into, for example, my site plan, clicking on the plus sign, or you can actually duplicate by right clicking. In here, I can now change the name, for example, slab plan. That will automatically update our smart and callouts, but you just need to change the paper, the naming. So that's obviously A101, so that would end up becoming A102. And then that's A103. So those parts, the actual page numbers, they are in this system manual, but it's often good to do that because a lot of times people rely on automated systems that ends up just causing a lot of problems. So I'm going to go back into my floor plan now. And if I wanted to, I could delete that, Control V. Now, I don't think I've created a slab plan for either of those. So again, I'm going to show you how you can quickly go back into the PlusSpec for SketchUp model and start to really mass this out. Now, first and foremost though, if you go into your scrapbooks, again, we've got our own, but you can choose the template ones that come straight out of the box with layout. I'm going to go into my site and I'm going to start choosing the different annotations that I want here. So I'm going to say I want that, and I want that one too. I can change that if I want to. Now what I can do is I can grab that point and I can grab a reference in my model like so. I can move that down and I can simply then double click into my scrapbook. It's a great way, scrapbooks, of automatically kind of producing these kind of call outs and stuff like that, and symbols and how you want your boundary to read, etc. I can replace the others around, or once I've got one in there, I could simply, for example, I could just say, well, actually, I wanted to reference that one. So now when I draw my line, if I go into my layers, if I go into my line work, I can simply trace my boundary like so, and then I can make sure that I pick up the same line type. So I'll just draw it out to the side. I'm just going to quickly grab that, copy it, and paste it on. And there is my line work. Now, again, I can use this little grabber piece, which is really powerful, and it gives me the ability to pick up exact locations in the model. I could have done that when I was drawing it too. So, for example, I've now gone through, put on my boundary, and I could just include my property name or my text where I wanted it now, for example, and move that around and copy it however I want. There's a few different strategies on how you can do that itself. Obviously, with the scrapbooks, you can even go down, in sight. I can say, okay, I want one there, and one over here. So I haven't even started putting the trees in my PlusSpec for SketchUp model, but I can do it in layout itself, and I can rescale it and do all of those kinds of things, start making it look really good. Obviously, I could even start dimensioning it. So if I went into my my layers here, I'll go into my dim layer, and I can start even calling it out. And I can choose my different dimension styles that I want. Now, a lot of people ask me, or they say they have problems with dimensioning. The problem typically when you're dimensioning is that if your line weight has been set very, very fat, it can be difficult, for example, to pick up the different elements because you're trying to search for the endpoints. So, where is my endpoint? And if you hover over it, you'll see the green dot comes up saying model endpoint. But when it's a really fat line type, it can be difficult to find those. So it can be good when you're dimensioning to simply grab your PlusSpec for SketchUp model reference, go into your styles, and actually change it to 0.1 line weight. When you do that, it's going to turn it very light. But again, now what it means is when you zoom in, it's basically as light as it's going to get. So if you want to find the endpoint, as you can see now, it's pretty easy, or it's ridiculously easy to find the points. And then you can simply reference what you want in your model, do all of your dimensioning, and therefore you don't have that problem in dimensioning. The other thing is, or the other where people can get unstuck with dimensions is that they try to reference something. You might have a line work that you've drawn over the top, and if you try to draw that line work reference to another one, you can see that there's a problem there. Layout, that was typically in 2017, etc. But as you can see now, you have the option to call out the actual paper size, but you have the ability now, PlusSpec layout automatically understands what that is to scale at that 1:100 and what it is at that scale. So that problem typically won't even happen anymore either. But one of the advantages of understanding layers and how they work is that if, for example, you wanted to hide, maybe I had a masking layer here, so we'll just quickly do that. I'm going to change a few things here. I'm just going to fill it, and I will actually get rid of it. So imagine we put that on our mask layer. If I want to get rid of my masks, at any time you can simply go down to your layers and you can click on the visibility setting of your mask. So if you want to just hide those things and get rid of them so you can work around them, it makes it very easy to work. Same with your dimensions. I'm on my dimension layer right now, and all of these were therefore appropriately assigned to the dimension layer. But I now have the ability to untick the visibility to hide them if I no longer need them. And again, if I want to change this back, just go back in 0.3. I find it a pretty good line weight at this scale. Now, inside of PlusSpec for SketchUp, you could start adding, if you put the rooms, you could have the room name and the square feet or square meterage automatically positioned in the model. Alternatively, you can go down onto your text, for example, and you can even start just manually putting in the text. Or you can go into the scrapbooks and you can go into text, and there's sample text there. Now, ours actually hasn't been finished yet. We're still working through it. but this will be available very, very in the near future. So bang, bang, etc. I can then adjust my levels, my floor finish, etc. To make it work how I want. Okay, what I'm going to quickly do now is I am going to jump back into the PlusSpec for SketchUp model reference. I'm going to clean up a few things. So first and foremost, we don't have a slab plan, so I'm going to quickly put one on. Generate face at base of walls. They're not in a loop in this one, so I am going to have to draw it in, simply because I did break it up with that part over there. So I'm going to trace that, and I'm going to put in my slab now. This one is, yeah, I'm going to be happy with that. Press submit. Oh, I need to go ground floor. Press submit. Okay, cool. Now I have my slab, and I can step down that side, and I can do the exact same thing to here. So walls, generate face at base of walls. Again, they're not in a loop, so that's why the warning comes up, just to remind you that if you want to do it, you need to manually do it. So like so, follow the same process. So now what I'm trying to show you or trying to teach you is that you can bring your PlusSpec for SketchUp model into your 2D drawings quite early, knowing that that whatever you do in the model is going to automatically update. So now if I go into my slab plan, you can see, yeah, that's working quite well. I can move over, I can delete. Sometimes the shape that you draw will be left there, so you can just delete those if you need to. And in actual fact, I do have this one above which was actually my flooring for my roof, my flat roof. You can hide those and manipulate the different layers in your different scenes to make sure it's going to be working in the way that you want. So in this case, we're going to quickly check the scenes. We want to select hidden geometry, and we want to say update. Hidden geometry is important. If you right click and hide an object like I did, if hidden geometry is not ticked, it means that it won't remember that that's only for that scene, and therefore it will hide that roofing structure for all of my scenes, for example. So in other words, I hid, and actually in actual fact, this one doesn't have hidden geometry attached either. So what you actually want to do is make sure that all of your scenes have hidden geometry on there. So now I can go view hidden geometry. I can unhide that. View hidden geometry. I'm going to quickly update that scene like so. All right. So just be aware of the right click hide geometry process. You need all of your different scenes to be set up with hidden geometry so that they understand which ones are universal versus which ones are only going to be hidden in a certain scene. Anyway, I'm now going to go back into my slab plan. Yep, that's working well. I'm going to file, save it. I'm going to go back into my layout file. I'm going to go into my slab plan. And I did all of this in my slab plan, by the way, but that's fine because I can grab everything other than that. So I don't want the SketchUp reference, PlusSpec reference. I can copy it, or I can even cut it, put it on my first floor plan, which is where it was supposed to be on, or ground floor, depending on what you want to call it, and just Control V. And it will remember, every one of those will remember their layers, and they're going to be placed exactly in place. So even if you accidentally start doing things like that incorrectly, super easy for you to fix. Now I can grab this, go into view, change it to slab plan. And I do need to right click, update model reference. There we go. Now in this one for your slab plan, it can actually be beneficial that you use raster. And you use raster so you can see the footing underneath it. So the dashed lines will automatically be there. Again, if you want to copy things from scene to scene, very easy to do. Like I could go back onto my first floor plan, and this is my boundary. And I want my boundary to be in all of my scenes. Simply left click it, copy it, and then you can paste it. Control V, second floor plan, Control V. So you can make all of those changes as required. Now that you've actually got your boundary there, you could even grab the extent of your model and bring it a little bit closer in so that you don't have that extra line. So at the moment, if you look through that, the line that I drew in my PlusSpec for SketchUp model is coming through, and I don't want it there. So I can simply redefine the box. And as you can see, it's now going to be cleaned up. So there's a hell of a lot that you can do inside of layouts and get it working the way that you want. So for example, in this one, in my first floor plan, again, if I jump back in, I might not want to show the slab and the footings and what's going on there. So the easy way to do it is to go back into your layers and just make sure that you turn off your slab group. Now, right click, update it, and then file, save it. Go back in to your paper space, so layout. Make sure that you right click onto the model reference and select update model reference. So I'm cleaning it up. I am telling both the PlusSpec for SketchUp model, the 3D model, and the scenes that have been set up in there. I'm telling them how I want them to display, so it's easier for me inside of layout. And I'm doing very little inside of layout. All I'm doing is essentially just making sure that it's updated to suit the changes that I made inside of PlusSpec for SketchUp. Now, you can set it up so it automatically renders and you don't need to right-click update model every time. It really depends on you and your workflow. But now you can keep on going through here. I mean, you can go into the scrapbook, and obviously drawings look good with the more detail that it has, the better that it looks, essentially. You know, I could grab this little box over here so I can start to calculate my floor area. I might do some sections through here so I can grab it. So I've got a section in there. I can grab this one, move it out, grab this line separately, move it. So it's very easy to do and to control. I might want the other one coming through, say there. Again, same process, just double click in, move, grab the line, move it. You can set it out however you want, starting to look pretty good. I might want to, there might be a floor level change, for example, in here. So I'm going to grab it, choose it. Now, what else do I want in here? Okay, yeah, windows and doors. So I'm going to put a door. I'll use one of our symbols for the door. Now, our door symbols are really intelligent. What you can do is you can double click in, and then you can move this. Whoops, I have to double click into this one so that it reads the actual door itself. And if you do it properly and it's working properly, it's going to pick up and give you the ability to have a drop down. I'm going to avoid it for now. And so if you've got like door 1 written inside of your PlusSpec for SketchUp model, so again, all, I could double click into this. I could go into it again, and I might say D1, file, save, go back into my reference. And what I want to show you here is that, again, I need to update. So I've set it to the manual. Basically, it's working via this tagging system. So you can go down and you can grab it. So now I've chosen door 1. And it will automatically read it. It's the same thing with our setup, but we are running out of time, so I'm just not going to do that. But you can go around, put in all the symbols that you might need for your doors, windows, whatever it may be. You might have some call outs. And the best part about layout, the thing that I love the most is that, and although we're going to be offering all of these things, the scrapbooks, these standard scrapbooks for you, if you do get the layout template pack, they're customizable. Even if you don't like the way that we've set them up, you can adjust them. You can change the styles to suit your drawing style. So it's really easy to do that. And again, I might actually want to call out something a little bit bigger here. So I'm going to say, I'm actually calling out that entire section like so. And I don't actually want it to read like that. So I can come up to this here and say I want it to be rectangular, change it, and adjust the way that it's going to read in the model itself, etc. What else? So I could obviously just keep on going through this, and I could be populating all of my different pages very, very quickly. As you can see, I've already got my roof plans, my second floor, first floors, etc. In my roof plan, I can add my notes. I could put my pitch information on here. If I really wanted to, I could even go into my second floor plan, and I could go into my layers, go into my line work, select the line type that you want. So I want it to be dashed. I want it to be like that, and we're going to do it only at that. And I'm going to quickly draw a rectangle now around the pitching point. So I'm going to grab the line work that I just drew. I'm going to cut it, go back into my roof plan, Control V. I now have it there. And now what I'm going to do is decide that I actually want to turn it white. So it's showing what's going on below. I could do the exact same thing here. Add my notes, my fall, we've got symbols for that, etc. So again, to put your fall in there, you just be going into your scrapbooks, finding your roof plan, and chucking or putting in all of the notes that you need for that. So revisions, all of those kinds of things. Whatever, you can set it out however you want. Okay, we're just about to go into Q&A. Again, these sessions go so fast, but hopefully what we're able to show you is that, you shouldn't be scared about turning your model into 2D drawings and starting to draw it all out. If I was to make a change, all of this would update to suit. So if I'd changed the wall and moved it out by a meter, I would just need to move my symbols, etc., to suit it. And it's pretty easy to do so. It's very, very fast. One of the really big advantages of Layout 2018 is actually that now you can also draw to scale directly in the paper space. This is huge, so it's basically turned it into AutoCAD. So at any time I can go, well, you know what, I want to capture detail, or I want to do a detail out here, or there's something else that I want to add, but I want to add it to scale. So now you can simply go down to your scale drawing, choose your scale. So I want to make scale drawing. I'm going to say I want to make it 1:100 here because that's what I was drawing in. Find it from the list. If it's not there, you can add it. So, the reason why is that I'm in that. So I'm going to choose millimeter, 1:100. Cool. Now I can start drawing. So if I do my line tool, I can draw to real scale. So 1:1, but it will automatically scale it to 1:100. So for example, if I knew that I wanted to add something that was 3 meters, I can type in 3 meters, but it's going to be scaled. If I need, 2 meters on this side, like so, and then I've got to come across 500, it's doing it to scale. So whatever that shape is, it might be some kind of funky water feature or whatever. Grab it, move it into position. It's now at scale. Again, you can even dimension it. So get onto your layers, dims. So not only can you do all of custom shapes and things that you might not want to model, but you can create all of your 2D details. You can create all of these additional things that previously you weren't able to do. And that was probably the main reason why people weren't really using layouts to the maximum potential. All right, so look, it is a very brief overview, but we are going to go into questions now. So if you haven't started asking your questions, please do so. Okay, so if you do purchase our template packs, or if you've created your own, what you actually want to do is you want to open the layout file, which we give you, because the templates are layout files. Once you've opened the layout file, what you want to do is then clean it up. As you can see in the one that I've loaded as our template, I left all of the guides there. You could even go up and say, I don't want that in my template, and I don't want these notes, blah, blah, blah. Clean it all up, the entire document. You might even want to add pages that you use. Once you're ready, you just go File, Save as Template, and then give it a name. So that whenever you open layout thereafter, when you go File New, if you go into My Templates, they will be loaded. And I've only loaded one of them just to show you in this exercise. That means whenever you're loading a new file, you've got all of your templates. You can choose from your side, your bottom, your different paper sizes, and you're ready just to rock and roll right from the beginning. So it's super powerful. So it's the same way if you've done it, if you had them in SketchUp 2017 before layout and you want to put it into SketchUp 2018 layout, then just open the original layout document in your 2018 and then file save as template. When we give you the scrapbooks, it'll be the same. They will be a layout file, and we give you all of the scrapbooks. And then when you're ready to use them, you just go File, Save as Scrapbook, and then they'll be in your scrapbooks. And ours are under PlusSpec Scrapbook. PlusSpec. Okay. Is there a way in layout to do multiple wall line weights? So having, for example, a really heavy internal line or external line versus a thinner internal line? The answer is no. It's a section plane, section cut. So typically, I know everyone has their different drafting style, but typically the line weights are derived from the cut. So whatever is cut is shown at the same thickness, really. It's cut straight through it. That's the plane. That's the global change. So that's inside of PlusSpec for SketchUp. If you go back, for example, into your styles, you even have the ability to choose the different section cuts, etc. So if I go into styles and I go into edit, I can go into this last one and it gives me the ability to even manipulate the section line width. So do I want the sections to read really fat? Do I want them to be reading a little bit thinner? And I can even control the color of the section line itself, etc. However, whatever you cut through, so in the floor plan, whatever you cut through is going to be the same line weight. If you want to adjust one, that's when you can go inside of layout and very quickly and easily you can trace over it using the line tools. So there is a bit of a masking process that goes on, but really we do that in AutoCAD anyway. So if you are using AutoCAD, every single line that you draw, you're basically drawing from scratch. So some people get a little bit, they react a little bit strangely to having to do these masking layers, but any 3D software, in fact, all 3D software requires these masking layers to control them in different ways. And you're doing it in AutoCAD from scratch regardless. So I don't see the problem. But so for example, I might say, well, you know what? I want to change the overall thickness here to 0.2. So it's lighter. But now I want to make sure that I'm going to go into my layers. Layers is important, right? Make sure that you're in line work. Everything you draw on line, you put on line work. And then in here, I can control. I can say, you know what? I want it to be 1 point. And then now I can simply quickly and easily trace around my entire external walls if I wanted to. So, I could even go around doing the cavity itself. It's a very quick process. Doesn't take very long at all, but it gives me a lot of ability to represent it how I want. So, and this is what you're doing in AutoCAD regardless. And if you're doing it in any other third-party software, typically you're going to that degree or that level also. Best part is, if you do change your model, it's very easy for you to manipulate these custom line work layers as well, because you can either hide them, you can put them back on, you can grab them, and you can control them separately. So if I knew that this needed to move out, I can grab it, I can grab this one, I can do it via scale and via distance too, like so. So that's actually a really good question. And a lot of times people asking, yeah, like it's reading well, but what do I need to do to make it read exactly how I want? And it is a combination of using the advantage of the 3D model is creating all your geometry, and it's the repository of information. If something changes, it's going to automatically change. And therefore, when you will automatically know in your 2D drawings, because it's going to update, that you need to change anything that you've done as a manual override or as a manual process over the top. And it's a very simple, the tools are very, very simple to use. It's exactly the same as in SketchUp itself, if you're using their rectangle tools and line tools. And it's how you can control, again, each object completely separately. If you want to, you don't even have to use the PlusSpec hatching. So you could override this, and I can say, well, actually, I want to put a fill on it, and choose a pattern. And in my pattern, I'm going to go down my patterns and I'm going to choose what I want. So for example, material symbols, and maybe I want it to read like that instead. Now that I've done that, I can even copy it. So Command C, Command V, I can move it out rather than having to redraw it on the other one too. So I can very much and very quickly customize anything that I want in here. Okay, detail page. That has been left pretty simple. It's been left there for you to do what you want. So typically what it would be doing is you'd be grabbing in your details. Now, number one, you could be drawing them in using layout itself and choosing the scale. So you might even have all of your, for example, all of your details or your majority of your details in AutoCAD format. And now you can even file, insert, find your DWG details, insert them into layout. You can even save them as scrapbooks. You can adjust the line weights, make them work how you want, so you're not even redrawing anything. Alternatively, you'd be creating details. Now, I haven't created any details in this exercise, so there's nothing really that I can show you. But in the past, we've shown how you can do 3D details and 2D details with PlusSpec for SketchUp and layout. So essentially, all you're doing is setting up this page to suit. So if I was going to drop in more details here, I can simply copy and paste my different callouts. And I can even use the spacing, so it might help me lay them out a little bit better. So I might have this one like there, and then this one over here. Now I've got space for 4. I'll obviously want them to align, so move them out like so. But I might have smaller details. So if my details are smaller, rearrange them as necessary. It might end up being that, your detail, whoops, let's move this one up, is only that big. So that means it gives me the ability, if I was a little bit smarter, I'd show you a little bit better. The guides are good because they give you the ability to say, okay, that's my box. That's what I'm going to be fitting in or inside it. So now that I've got that, that's going to give me the ability to understand how I can lay out my page. So I can fit one there, I can fit one there. I might actually end up spacing those a little bit because they're getting a little bit tight. And that gives me room to add all of my notes. And then I can do the same on this side. Might have another one there, and I might even have another one there. You can also set out grids so you can space them evenly. And then obviously with your details, depending on the detail itself, you would be having all of your notes. You can reference your other notes, etc. You can also, if you miss the reference, you can arrange them, align them, I should say, and you can arrange them by, for example, left, so they line up perfectly. And again, if you haven't put them on the correct layer to begin with, which I didn't do, I'm still on the entourage layer, I can right click, move to layer, and I want to send it to probably text. And then obviously these boxes are not necessary, I can delete those and I'll be having my detail in there. So it really depends on you and the details that you're capturing about how you're actually going to set that page out. But it is quite flexible for you. And then obviously what you need to do is just change the numbers. So double click into the groups until you can edit each individual element. That's detail 2. Detail 3. Now, if you were to set this up as a template, so you adjust ours before you save it as a template, it will always remember that too. Detail 3. You won't have to redo it. Okay, so why didn't my window tag come up properly with the when I did the label? I didn't do it right. So I can show you. Well, we've shown that in the past. We can show you that again. But essentially, when you get access to our scrapbooks, that will just work straight out of the box anyway. And there will be a quick video explaining it in further detail. So the idea is, inside of PlusSpec for SketchUp, every time you drop in a door or a window, it actually does give it a name. But so if you double click in and double click again, you can start to see what we're calling it. So we're calling this one curtain window 2. We're calling it window 3. But the way that our window naming and door naming works is however you draw it. So if I draw 4 windows, delete one, then draw a 5th, then it won't automatically reorganize it. So they're really there just for a guide. So what I typically suggest that people do is, once you're kind of happy with your design, knowing the way that you want to work, which is typically up the page clockwise, you start to name. So I would be like, well, I've got no windows there, no windows there, this window here, I've got none on the ground floor. So that actually is, if I click on it, W1. This one, I keep on double clicking in, W2. It actually doesn't matter where you put the definition or instance. You could actually, when you first double click on it, you could even just put it in this instance. So W2 example, I'm going to show you, so you can have different references that you can pull out from each thing. So now if I double click back on that window, W2 example, if I dive a little bit further, you can see W2. And this is a really quick process. And again, I normally just wait until the very end to do it. And then File, Save. And then in your layout document, if I go back into the correct page, so let's go into floor plan. I'm going to update model reference. It's actually second floor. That's fine. I didn't cut through that one, so I probably could have explained that a little bit better. Okay, again, I've used the label tool, and I've got the ability now to go through and select the different parts that I want. You just have to make sure that you select the right element too. So, for example, in this one, I actually selected the wall, but this one I've now properly selected the window. So in here, I can go down, you can see I've got W1, which I just put in. And then my smaller window, I actually had the other two that I would have been able to pick up. Now, so that's really important. Back in the model, if you go into your floor plan 2, understanding where your section's cutting through is important. So display your section, and then you can move it up and down. So in reality, I would have wanted mine to cut through there. And you'll see that the PlusSpec will automatically update the hatching. But to do that, you do want to make sure before you update anything that you turn on the hidden on plan. If your hidden on plan is hidden, it won't automatically update your section. But now that I've done that, you can see it has, and I can unhide hidden on plan. And then now in my floor plan 2, it'd be reading how I want it, showing all of my different windows and how it's cutting through it. So if I was to now update that scene, if I was to save this scene now, so File, Save the file, I should say, went back into Layout, Update Model Reference, Update, there we go. I now have the ability to go into my window, to grab it. And again, our window symbols and everything, this will automatically do this process for you. But again, I can go down and you can see here, I've got W2 example and W2. So it really depends where you want to place the information. You can have a whole bunch of different information in each component, window, door, even walls. The best part about that is, again, your 3D model becomes the central repository of information, and you're just pulling things out, so you're going to have less chance of spelling errors, accidentally putting in labels that you don't update, etc. We've gone way over time. We've got so many more questions. I'm going to try and do a few more. Is there a tool for free hand drawing? Yeah, but I'm not a massive fan. You can click on the pencil tool, and you can go freehand. Good if you've got a computer pencil or whatever, and then you can draw, you can create your own shapes. It is good. When I said I'm not a massive fan, it's just more that I just don't use it a lot. But you can do some really interesting things with that. If you were experiencing some sound dropouts, hopefully you weren't. Make sure you watch the video. It shouldn't be captured in the video itself. Can you link detailed page number to section legend on floor plans? No, they are controlled manually, just as you do in AutoCAD, etc. Now, the last thing that I'm going to finish up on here is that a lot of people say, but why do I need to manually adjust these symbols? Some other BIM software, for example, automatically do it for you. Now, let me tell you, yeah, that's great. It is cool. It's good to have that ability. It does save you time. It can save you error. But in actual fact, I've seen the opposite. So I've seen both in Revit and ArchiCAD where people have relied on their automatic naming for their sections and how it relates to the different pages, and they rely on it. But they're actually, the way it's working is through a setup. And if you don't set up the system properly and there's a flaw in the setup, you will almost rely on it without even looking at it anymore, and you lose your due diligence of going through your set and making sure there are no mistakes. So as much as automatic naming and automatic page numbering, etc., can help you, it can also hinder you. And for section and all those kinds of things, I think that it's a pretty easy process to know what page you're on and where you've actually put it on in your first floor plans or whatever it may be. So this one is section 1. And then I know that I've put it on section here, and that's out. I've only got one page of section, so it's A301. So I'm going to go back in there, and I'm going to go into here and just update it. So it is manual, but it is making you put your hat on, your due diligence hat, and make sure that you're capturing the right information. Anyway, we have gone way over. I hope that it gives you an overview. That's all it was meant to be. Obviously, you can go into way further detail than this. This is within an hour though, and for me talking that entire time, for having something that I didn't even know what I was going to draw in the first place, I think you can see that you can do things very quickly. You can create amazing looking drawings. This is very basic, but obviously the more detail you put in it, the better it looks. Anyway, have a happy Christmas and a new year. Again, if you're interested in our layout and our scrapbook pack, go to our website, PlusSpec website, and you'll see it on the pricing section, and you can go down, you can purchase it. It's $50. It's an absolute bargain. And again, even if you purchase now, even though you won't get access to the scrapbooks right away, you will be getting them in the new year. And again, if you've already purchased, you will also get those sent out to you. And if you don't have SketchUp Pro, we are selling SketchUp Pro, so come through us if you want to do the upgrade or to start with SketchUp Pro from scratch. Have a great year. We'll be back on the 8th of January, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Enjoy yourself and be safe. Thanks.